Not going to get involved in these childish name games. It's pretty pathetic. First of all, I was born with Nikki on my birth certificate. I was raised as Nikki. I'm married to Haley, and so that is what my name is. So he can say or misspell or do whatever he wants, but he can't step away from the fact that, look, he's the one that said he was going to abandon Israel. Those were his words. Now he's wanting to walk it back. And the reality is you have to understand the importance of our allies and those relationships. We can never be so narcissistic to think that we don't need friends. I think you can tell a lot about the kind of leader someone will be based on how they run their campaign. And he's doing that all on his own.
Hello, family. Welcome back to another episode of Journey to Harmony. Today, we want to talk to you about a bit of a rift that's growing between Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy. So Vivek has been on an absolute tear over the last 5 months. He has risen from absolute unknown to probably the second or third most popular primary candidate on the Republican side. For the longest time, I've said that the perfect candidate would be a mixture of Donald Trump's policies and his ability to defend himself against the mainstream media, and the Barack Obama's eloquence and his ability to communicate his ideas. And Vivek looks to be a mixture of the two in a younger body. And right now he's capturing the minds very strongly of many Americans. So what's happening right now is many of the other primary candidates, Ron DeSantis, Chris Christie, Mike Pence, are all coming after Vivek because they see him rising. They see some contradictions that they believe are in his particular delivery, and they're overall coming at him just as a way of looking to try to stamp down his rise in particular. Vivek has taken hold of this overall media attention just by having a complete blitz of media appearances. He is everywhere all the time, having some kind of appearance, while other candidates are basically doing a strategic one view here, one view there type of appearance. I'm going to play a video just in terms of a recent interview he had with Fox and Friends on Fox. We'll go ahead and review that, come back and see what we can say from there.
So is that true to say that you are walking back some of those claims? And by the way, are you walking back?
Not at all.
Okay. Explain.
Not at all. I've stood firmly for advancing American interests. I've been very clear that our relationship with Israel by the end of my first term will be stronger than it has ever been, because I will treat it as a true friendship, not a transactional relationship. I don't talk in the way that standard GOP talking points advise you to speak, but I'm speaking with an authenticity on that relationship. Take the Abraham Accords to the next level. Add Saudi Arabia, Oman, Qatar, Indonesia to that pact. I've been crystal clear that it is a vital U.S. interest to make sure that Iran never comes anywhere close to a nuclear weapon. We have to work with Israel to make sure that happens. And yes, I have said that we would back Israel fully, militarily. But I've also said that I don't want our sons and daughters, U.S. troops, to die in that conflict. And if they're going to distort that to say that I'm not going to stand for Israel, then I'm happy to have the debate where Nikki Haley or Mike Pence or Chris Christie can state how many U.S. soldiers they'd like to see die in that conflict. I'll wait. I've asked that question. I haven't gotten a response. But for my part, I have been clear. Yes, we stand with Israel. And you know what? For my part, I want to learn from our friends in Israel. I would love their border policies in this country. I would love their tough on crime policies and their strong national identity and a missile defense system like they have in this country. And so I admire and respect our friends. I'll have Bibi over to the White House in a way that Joe Biden couldn't. But yes, it's true that I'm not talking about this in the way that standard Republican partisans are taught to by the talking points they get from their super PACs. That's what makes me different. But it is also what will make our relationships with our foreign partners and friends that much more authentic.
All right, perfect. So we see there again, once again, he's able to articulate his overall response in a way that is convincing while also firm in terms of his overall belief. Vivek has a similarity to Trump where he makes people uncomfortable because he's able he's so well versed on many different topics. We'll go ahead and listen here to what this next particular section has to say, and we'll come back and respond to it from there.
So let me ask you about two other foreign policy issues. One is Taiwan, and then the other one is Ukraine and Russia and ending that conflict. You've said that you'd fully back Taiwan until the U.S. becomes independent with semiconductors. Yes. So what happens after that point? Do we just give Taiwan to China?
So, John, that's how my position again has been caricatured. Let's get real here.
But
the U.S.
that's what you've
position
said.
right now is
You've-
one of
you've said that you would
embracing.
back-
Well, I want to get real.
Sorry, Vivek. Let me just say, you've said that you would back
I did not say we would hand them over to
Taiwan
China.
No, I know you didn't say that. That was my question. What you have said is we will fully back Taiwan until we become independent in semiconductor production. And my question is, what happens after that?
After which point we resume the status quo, which is strategic ambiguity, which is what I was beginning to explain to you, John. Right now, the status quo is the U.S. embraces the one China policy. Both Republicans and Democrats, every other Republican in this race, embraces the one China policy. Strategic ambiguity, refusing to call Taiwan a nation. Recall that President Trump was derided by both parties for picking up a phone call from the Taiwanese president. That's our current status quo with respect to China. I think that's insufficient. I think we have to be crystal clear that we will defend Taiwan. So I'm upgrading to strategic clarity, saying that absolutely we will defend Taiwan until we get semiconductor independence, because that's why Taiwan matters most to the U.S. They provide the chips that power our modern way of life. And after that, we resume the current
Don't we also
status
support
quo,
a robust
which is
democracy
strategic
off of
ambiguity.
China's shores?
So look, I think we should support them more than we are now. That
they're not
robust
just a
democracy,
factory.
John, I'll remind you. Oh, absolutely. But the fact of the matter is the current U.S. establishment in both parties, including the Republican Party, does not even recognize Taiwan as a nation right now. One China is our policy. So, John, that's actually a caricature. It's laughable to say that when I'm saying Taiwan is a nation, that we actually will defend it until and unless we have semiconductor independence and then we resume the status quo. That's honest. That's clear. And that is actually a more strong Taiwan posture than either party has offered. And again, this takes an outsider to call out the bluff. The fact that Trump couldn't pick up a phone call from the Taiwanese president before being derided, those are the same people that are saying that because I'll say I'll defend Taiwan, but am clear until it has semiconductor independence,
very clearly,
contorted. So I think you have to understand the status quo.
This is clearly
All right, perfect. So we see there again that that Vivek is under attack for the most part, and his policies for it. It sounds pretty common sense to a lot of the things that he's stating. We'll see exactly how this works out in terms of his implementation of them. Of course, life is always a lot harder than theory. So a lot of times it's the overall policies that we have. They may sound good, but once we get on the actual stage, things are a lot more difficult than what we expected. Many candidates are still in the process of running the overall GOP, I believe, election in terms of the primary and everything. It begins in February, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see a lot of the candidates begin that process. But as the fall continues to go on, there are things that we can count on. Vivek is going to continue to have a blitz of media appearances. He's going to be on every show, talking to every single person who's willing to have him on. And because of his intelligence, his understanding of media and all these other things, he's able to win people in a way that many of the other GOP politicians may not be able to do so. He's also capturing the people of the of who may be on the Democratic side, people who are some who are Trump supporters, some who are not Trump supporters. Everything that he's saying is a way of function that is understandable with a lot of the same benefits that Trump suggested, but also in a way that is more understandable for a lot of people. What are your thoughts on this? Please comment below. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining. Have a good day.